I'm going to be reading a post that was written by myself, author Lorraine Carey, which is on the Small Gang of Authors blogspot.com. And we are writers that write stories for your entertainment. And today's post is entitled Past Life Regression. What science says. The concept of reincarnation suggests that after death, a person may be born again into a new body. This idea has been present in various religious traditions for at least 3,000 years and has roots in even older cultures, including shamanism, Druidism, Native American tribes, and Norse mythology. Many people hold a spiritual belief that each undergoes a series of lifetimes to achieve personal and spiritual growth. Reincarnation is often associated with the concept of karma, a Sanskrit term that reflects the principles of cause and effect. It is said that a significant portion of the population believes in reincarnation and, by extension, may be open to exploring past life regression. Dr. Ian Stevenson conducted one of the most well-known studies on past life experiences, examining approximately 3,000 cases over 40 years, where children claim to remember their past lives. Stevenson published numerous papers and 14 books on the topic, concluding that memories, emotions, and even physical characteristics like birthmarks could be carried from one life to another. PLRT may not be suitable for everyone. Some people struggle to visualize it in their mind's eye. So PLRT may be less effective for them without a few hypnotherapy sessions first. People who benefit most are often those who are open-minded or believe in the concept of past lives, or at least the possibility of them. One YouTube channel that caused quite a stir, and I remember it vividly, and it keeps on going. The title of this YouTube video is 7-Year-Old Writes Gone with the Wind. This one did attract many viewers, including myself. It was indeed most interesting. Now, as a teacher, I had come across a few students who had me thinking that they were indeed very old souls after having several conversations with them. My comment on the channel did raise some brows on my credibility as a teacher. We all have our own beliefs, and we need to honor them. Now, more about my experience with PLR. A trip to Pompeii in 2014 reaffirmed my suspicions when I received a severe shocking sensation in my right arm after touching a pedestal in one of the remains of the Vestal houses. We were on a guided tour, it was me and my husband, and the guide was a student studying ancient Roman history. She had witnessed my account and told me I had possibly made a connection with one of the Vestals. That shocking feeling lasted a few hours, and I was deeply concerned I would need medical attention, but luckily it had faded. When returning home from Grand Cayman, where we were living at the time, I had found a therapist who did not advertise regression therapy as her service. Being the island was most conservative, however, a friend of mine had recommended her, knowing I had a great interest in this. I've always felt drawn toward anything ancient Roman, especially artifacts or news on new archaeological findings. And now I was even more interested after my experience in Pompeii. The past life regression session. I entered the small office space of the therapist. It was dimly lit, but I was able to see her framed degrees and a few accolades on the wall behind her desk. I took a seat across from the middle-aged woman who was wearing thick black framed glasses. After she informed me of what the session would entail, I was told to lie down on a chaise that looked comfortable, which it was. I was beginning to feel a bit of anxiety, which she stated was perfectly normal. Her voice was calming, so that did help quite a bit. She began with subtle directions for breathing deep from my belly. Her voice was soft, and then she had me envision walking in a field of wildflowers with a scent of lilacs. I had no problem going there. I could smell the pungent aroma and could feel a silky sensation as tall grass brushed against my legs. You see, it's easy for empaths and sensitives to react. She told me to close my eyes and keep them closed as she was counting backward from 10. Things got a bit more interesting with her questions. Well, when she got to 1, she wanted me to breathe deeply and again look at my feet as she asked me what I was wearing. I had on some type of strappy sandal that had ties that went up my calf. The soles of the sandals were flat and a bit flimsy. Now look at the ground around you. What do you see? I saw cobblestones that seemed to lead to a long path that resembled an old road. What are you wearing? I used my hands to run up and down my body and saw some type of beige tunic that resembled something one would have worn in ancient Roman times. It was gathered at my shoulder with a clasp that felt quite heavy. My arm was weighed down with something even heavier. I looked down to see I was carrying some sort of clay jug. It was empty. The therapist was quiet for a bit. I assumed she was listening and trying to decipher all of this. Can you tell me if you hear anything? Voices, sounds of some sort? I took in a deep breath and saw myself actually on that cobblestone path and heard voices calling from behind me. I couldn't make out the words, but they were almost shouting. This disturbed me as I turned around to see if I could tell where they were coming from, when the ground beneath me started to shake. I dropped that red clay jug and it shattered to the ground. My pulse began to race, and I felt as if I were going to have an anxiety attack right there. My chest felt heavy with each rise and fall. The therapist had instructed me to repeat deep breathing as she would count back from 10. On 1, I would return to the present state. Conclusions. Upon opening my eyes, I saw the therapist sitting to the right of me with a pad and pen in hand. She instructed me to lie there if she wanted me to recount all the details again. Then she read her notes from the tablet. I was amazed at what she had told me because it was exactly what I had encountered. She asked me where I believed I was, so I took another deep breath and the words came out just like velvet. I didn't have to think twice. I believe I was back in ancient Pompeii and possibly the day of the eruption. With a nod of her head, she agreed and told me I was probably correct. I had told her about my account in Pompeii, and she nodded again. She took my hand and helped me rise from the chase, making sure I wasn't dizzy. Once standing, she asked me if I would want another session in the near future. I told her I wanted to wait. I had to digest all of this. But everything was finally coming together. And you can read this post in text on the group of authors, A Small Gang of Authors, blogspot.com. And you can also see a link to the video about the child that possibly wrote the text of the movie Gone with the Wind, the one that caused quite a stir. Anyway, we'll be looking forward to reading more of these posts, and I hope you enjoyed this post today. Thank you.